We're live, so thank you very much for the people there, even now or later. Like I usually say, many people like to watch it after, it's okay. The greatest thing of watching it live is that you can ask your questions or share your insights about the country you're talking to. I'm sure Veronika would also like to answer your questions if you decide to leave some of those here. I would like, first of all, to say that I'm sorry for the last week's video. Not for the quality of the video, I thought it was quite nice. I loved the conversation I had with Yun. But because of the sound of my microphone, my computer changed some settings without me noticing. But yeah, I would recommend you still to get through the sound problems and to still watch the video, because I still found it really nice and interesting to follow. But yeah, today is a new week. We are going to meet Veronika from Belarus. I'm looking forward to it. It's a country that I think I have a lot to learn about, and I would like to learn a little bit about Veronika as well. So, like I usually do in the beginning, I will give you some time, Veronika, to present yourself. And like I've done in the last two videos, I will do today the same. I would like you to present yourself in your native tongue, which I believe is Russian, I'm not sure.
Belarusian as well. So we got like two state languages, Russian and Belarusian.
Okay, I didn't know you have your own language, sorry. Okay, so yeah, you can maybe do it in Belarusian, and then translate to English, please, because I would give my best to understand, but I don't think I will manage to do it.
Okay, that's really nice. Okay, I'll present myself in Belarusian then. Меня зовут Вероника, і я вучуся у Беларускім дзяржаўным універсітэце. Зараз я скончыла ўжо 4 гады навучання тут. І я вучылася на эканаміста, і зараз я працую на адну з лепшых інавацыйных фірм і кампаній з усяго свету. Гэта EPAM. І мне здаецца, што гэта такі добрый прорыв и успех. So, I told you that my name is Veronika, and I was studying like at Belarusian State University for International Economics, and now I'm working for one of the leading innovation company, whose name is EPAM. So headquarters are in the United States, but the main workforce is here, and I'm really proud of that. And I think it's like one small step to success.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the career. It's an interesting time because everything is new in a way, and you are in the beginning of. Of course, we already have the path in our education, but we are in the beginning of our career path, and it's nice to have a first experience, see if you like it, or have your first experiences develop, and that from then on follow your route, and what will hopefully be a nice and rewarding, I'm not meaning only financially rewarding, but also regarding fulfillment, that's what I meant. So yeah, good luck with that. I like to see you're excited about it, and yeah, it's like I said, it's the beginning. That's a lot.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing is like about our country that huge companies are located there. They put their subsidiaries and they take juniors. So I saw like vacations in another subsidiaries like around the world, like India or I don't know, Germany, Italy, and they said we need only seniors. So it's quite interesting that they took juniors in like Eastern Europe, and I was just like, oh my god, that's my chance, you know?
Yeah, I understand. That's great. One thing I would like to ask you, it's regarding my mistake before. So I knew Belarus is a completely different country from Russia, but I still made the mistake of considering, because I thought I read it somewhere, maybe it was misleading, that you spoke Russian, and maybe you said you do, but you also speak Belarusian, right?
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you if many people confuse Belarus with Russia, and what is your feeling towards that?
Oh please, Belarus is not Russia, no. Because like when I was in the United States, they asked me like, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Belarus. It's very like, no, I mean country. Where are you from? I was like, it's a country, guys. It's a separate country, independent and beautiful enough. So please don't mistake that for Russia. And I must say that a lot of people like from mostly from Americas, like North and South, and like Australia, they usually say like, oh, where it is, oh, is it really different? So, but people from Europe, they are quite aware about our country, so they don't like mistake that for this. And what about language? A lot of people are talking in Russian as well because we were like a part of Russian emperor, something like that.
The
So
Soviet
that's why,
Union, yeah.
yeah, and the Soviet Union afterwards. So we were talking Russian, but as well we got like our literature, our own country, our Belarusian language, and even like before that, before the Soviet Union, we got a lot of people who were talking Polish because we were like a part of this Rечь Посполита, so that was the name, and yeah, that's why our language is like. I don't know, like a mixture of Russian, Polish, and our own.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's normal, especially for Americans, to confuse or to not know the existence of Belarus, because I think it can happen the same with Portugal. Really, many people would say or think that Portugal, and for example, Portugal and Spain are the same because we are all in the Iberian Peninsula. But yeah, it's normal because I, of course, I know there are many states. For example, we were talking about the United States. Of course, I know there are many states in the United States, but I can't greatly identify which states are those. Or sometimes states that I don't hear so much talking about, I can confuse them with cities because I'm not too much into it. So we study a bit, but we don't study the states like they do and memorize all of them because it's their country. It's normal. And I think they don't do the same. They also don't do it with Europe. We have many countries. We in Europe have an interesting environment because we have, first of all, open borders between countries, which is quite different from anywhere else on Earth, which is really interesting, and it changes the way we interact between countries. And also, many countries in a small portion of land. In many places on Earth, countries are really big, and you can find, I've made some videos about China and India, and they say that you can find the same country but completely different cultures and ways of behaving or gastronomies. So you can find completely different perspectives of ways of life inside the same country. In Europe, it's really interesting because we are so close to each other that there's not that much difference. So, for example, some of the big differences that I thought about sometimes are regarding the weather, because if the country is really big, the northern part of the country and the southeast part climatically are completely different, or they are close to the sea or not. It depends. But in Europe, since we have this big variety of countries, you can find a difference in culture between each one of them, and that's really interesting, and it's really rewarding to travel inside Europe in that sense, that you can ride some kilometers, a couple of hundreds of kilometers. Not many times you don't need to travel thousands of kilometers to find a completely different culture, a new language. There's a lot of languages in Europe, and it's interesting. And I understood when you made the cross to say, oh, we are not Russia. I can imagine you have nothing against Russian, or Russian people shouldn't be mad about it, because of course, at least I'm speaking for myself. I love the concept of the European Union. I think it's one of the greatest things that were made, because in the past we looked a lot to different countries as, if not enemies, as rivals, because there was always some rivalry and competition. And with the European Union, we start to look at other countries as friends or allies, and that we could work together towards a common goal. And that's great. That's a huge step towards maybe the future we want to build. But of course, we still love our countries. I have this really international way of thinking, but I still love my country a lot, and I identify with it a lot. So that's why I think you like and identify as a Belarusian as well. But yeah, I think there's space enough for us to enjoy the variety of people, the variety of cultures, but also to enjoy the portion of land where we grew up in. Like we like our city better than other cities in the same country. I think it's normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely like that. And you told like about weather a little. So usually people are mistaken like Belarus with Siberia. I don't know because they're talking like, oh my God, right now I believe in your country is like minus 10 Celsius, and it is like what that was. But that was green, and I was like, no, we are just on like on the same beats on the map. So please just look at that.
Yeah.
And even now in my country, it is even hotter or warmer than in yours. And so so one guy from my Erasmus exchange was just like, no, I don't believe you. So he recorded like the weather for a week or two, and he was just like, oh my God, it's really like that because like the weather in your country right now is better than here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a huge mistake from other people. Yes, we got like huge temperature difference, like cold in winter, but really hot in summer. But we don't have like this freezing cold when you're dying of it. So
Yeah, I understand.
say that.
I had one question prepared here, but before, I don't know. You talked a little bit about who you are and what you do, not too much about your traits, personal traits, or so. But I had one question here prepared that was how you describe yourself, even though you haven't got into those things. But I can still ask the question. That is like, how do you think your family and friends would describe you?
Oh, that's interesting. Usually people say like their first impression of me is like cheerful girl who is positive every time and don't have any problem or seem not to have any problem. And like for my friends, they usually say like every time busy with different things, with new stuff, learning a lot. And I must admit that because sometimes I didn't even give them a lot of time, like, to relax with each other or something like that. Because I usually like, oh my God, I got 5 minutes free, so I just can't lay there on the sofa doing nothing. So I need to read, to draw, yeah, to do something.
Yeah. And I would ask you now if you like that description that people make about you.
Yes, I think so because it just like fully about me, and I think that my approach to life is really good for me for right now because I have seen that I traveled a lot like during my studies, and I've seen that people admire some of my stuff, like admire my art. So I'm drawing with oil colors, although I'm not studying that like professionally, but I do it really good. And I got like a lot of professional artists who are saying that that is correct, that is good. Like you need to a little like correct it a little my mistakes, but there are not that many. So and yeah, I'm dancing as well, and people like that. So they ask me like to do something like dancing flash moves or something like that. So I'm always like in the center of events, and I'm really like yeah, I really like that. So people usually ask like, how are you doing that? Can you teach us? Or yeah, and I think after those questions, you might say that, oh yeah, I maybe I'm on the way to success, or I did that correct, or I'm on the right path of my life. I don't know.
But you do those things. I can imagine you do those things to, like you said, to feel um, happy because it's an achievement. It's something that you couldn't do that you can do. It's something that differentiates you from other people. So it's something that makes you feel you like it because it's something that makes you feel successful, like you say, or on the path to success, or you do it in a more naive way, like because it's something you enjoy doing, like you enjoy yourself doing during that time, or it's a mix of both.
I don't know. I must say that maybe it's more for my own like feelings because when I'm drawing, I'm just like I feel that I'm calm and I need to focus only on the pictures that I'm doing. So I usually like all the problems and all of the outer world that passing by. And yeah, I focus on my inner world, and I'm fully inspired by that. And when I see that something great is happening on my canvas,
Mm-hmm.
so I just feel like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Even though the picture is not completed, for example, something like that. What about dancing? It's like kind of sport with a mixture of art. So you listen to the music and you feel your body moving somehow. So yeah, I'm usually doing that at home, like where is nobody watching, it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards you feel like psychologically, I don't know, like freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, it just really good for your health. A lot of people are doing like stretching or yoga for that, but for me it's like dancing.
In the end, it's finding what you like to do and enjoy yourself during that time, because different people
Yeah.
like different things.
Yeah, but afterwards, of course, you got like some skills. And when people see like the complete picture, or when you post some, part of your dancing video on Instagram, which is like really great, you think like that.
Mm-hmm.
So people like, oh yeah, that's really good. So that is like a kind of procedure. At first you enjoyed yourself, and afterwards you enjoyed the result.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I look. You are starting your career, but that's kind of the way I look at work. Like, as we are working, we are not just making a living, we are just also contributing to society. So it's great to enjoy what you're doing there, and to to remember yourself that you are, like I said, contributing to society. You are taking an active role in society, and you are not just enjoying what you're doing, but you are making other people happy with what you're doing, or at least probably you are. So that's and I like to look at that way, and it's funny how it relates with the way you talked about your hobbies.
Mm-hmm. So recently, I have sent my picture to my friend in the United States. Hope he will receive it like in 2 weeks. I hope so, really, and without any disasters, on the picture, because the flight is really long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of achievement as well, because I did that and my friend liked that. I was like, oh, why not just send like the
Yeah.
picture? So yeah.
I have a short game here to do with you, but before we move on, I would like to ask you a question. Like, you said the way your friends and family describe you, but I would like to know, how does it relate with the average Belarusian citizen or person? Uh, it's like
Um,
this is the common thing, or would you say the common Belarusian person is like you describe yourself, or that your friends and family describe yourself, or do you think that you are a little bit different from the majority of people of Belarus? Yeah.
I think that it is quite different because usually our people are a little bit calm and slow or something like that. But all of my friends, they are really proactive and they want like to try this and that. So they're not sitting on one place. They're just like moving. And if a person had some like, how to say that? I don't know. I don't know in my language how to explain that. So if a person perceives some goals in our country, so they usually try a lot of things, and till I believe 24 years old, they definitely know what they want to do. It's quite early, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and they before that they tried a lot, and you may ask this person, and you would think that, oh my God, you are something like 40, or because they are doing at the same time a lot of things, and they're not sleeping, they're so into idea. So that is the way describing our people. But like other from other countries, they see our people like not friendly or closed or something like that. It's not because they are closed, it's just because they have in mind a lot of things to
Mm-hmm.
do, to try to think about. And when you're talking with them about meetings, they're usually busy because they're just like, oh my God, I got this and that, and they're like, ah.
Yeah.
So usually all of my friends and my acquaintances, they are like that. So I believe the majority of Belarusian people proactive and want to achieve something, although they may seem for others like unfriendly and closed. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting to notice that proactiveness. Yeah. Yeah, the game I was talking about is the these or that questions. It's been working pretty well in the last videos, and I find them funny, and they always give way to some maybe sometimes some reflection as well. So what I was going to ask you is that I will ask you a question, and then you can answer and give a slight justification for your answer if you want. If not, you can just answer and we move on. So the first
Okay.
question I have here, and it's a funny one because you said you like you are a little bit artistic and you like this more artistical stuff. Is like if you would prefer to sing in the shower or to dance in the bedroom.
I think dancing is bedroom. I don't like singing because I was going to musical school, and usually when you are doing here something professional, you just want to be like in a hobby, but your teachers think that you are gonna be professional, and they
Yeah,
are just like punish you for doing something wrong. So for my singing class, it was something like that. So I'm just like, no.
yeah, that didn't give you way to make mistakes and to grow from there.
Yeah, but for dancing it was the same, I must admit. But I don't know, I was just like, no, this I will do.
Yeah, exactly, I understand. Yeah, but I more or less saw that coming because you already said that you like to dance at home, so I was predicting you would say that. But moving on, board games or video games?
Word games, for sure. I don't know, I'm just like bad with computers. So sometimes, like often, something is happening with them. So microphone is not working, or like it just like black screen. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. And when I was playing video games once, I was playing, I was winning, and once I lost like the game, and then I was just like, no, that game is really bad. I will not play that anymore. And then just like we see black screen and nothing happened. And I was like, oh my god, sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a small, I would say, in every game, even in board games. Board games may be different. It depends on the game, but there's always a slight barrier of learning you need to overcome to at least play a little bit of the game.
Yeah,
But that's the barrier if you're starting, of course. Back massage or foot massage?
back massage. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. Just feel better.
Okay. Sun or moon?
Oh, sand? Like on the beach?
Sun. No, the star, the sun.
Sun, of course. Yeah, I would love to be suntan because I'm so pale, and in my country, people are also pale. I don't know why, because we got like really aggressive sun. But yeah, I would love to be a little bit suntan.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny you bring it because in the last video, no, yeah, the last one about Taiwan, Yun was talking with me about East Asian people that don't like to get tanned. They culturally think that a paler person is more beautiful, or it helps in being more beautiful, and so they try to avoid to get tanned. In East Asia, and I was telling her on the difference here in Europe that normally people like to get tanned, but in the past it also wasn't always like that because I've said this in the last video. People from higher ranking in society, royalty family, or people that were really rich, would like to be paler because people working on the fields spend all day working in the sun, so they would be really tan normally. So if you were pale, it would make the difference between you and the others. So you were the one that didn't have to work on the fields, so they could see you were different and more rich or something like that. But
yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, like in my country, usually people are telling me the same thing, like, "Oh my God, you are pale. That's really great," because it's like naturally, I was just like, "No."
Yeah, in the end, it's funny that there are different kinds of person with different hair, skin colors, whatever. Uh,
Yeah,
Apologizing or forgiving?
forgiving.
Okay.
um, yeah, I don't know how to
Yeah, it's a
explain that.
preference.
Sorry.
Yeah. Orange juice or lemonade?
Orange juice. Yeah.
Okay. Saving the world or saving the day?
The second one, what was it?
Saving the day.
Saving the day, saving the world, because
Okay.
you feel like superhero and
Yeah.
everybody, yeah, just like yeah, hooray, you saved us. Woo.
Yeah, this is a funny question because it's like between saving the world and all that recognition from the whole world and the whole party after that, or saving the day. It's a much more smaller thing, but you still save the day and you help some friends or something like that, and it's also nice. So it was an interesting question in that way. Hotel or camping?
Hotel. I'm afraid of insects and all this kind of bugs. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I was doing a lot of camping with my family when I was young, and for me it was always a disaster. So that's why I prefer hotels.
Yeah, I can understand it. Uh, to have a parrot or a monkey?
Monkey. It's funnier.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it is fluffy, and it can, I don't know, you can teach her to do something, while parrot only can talk with you, like it's
yeah,
like max.
yeah, I understand. Uh, Now the final one, but it's an interesting one as well. To make the rules or to break the rules?
So rules are existing for breaking them, but mm, no, I think break the rules is much funnier.
Okay.
Yeah, in the country, usually people do that. For example, these pirating films, so we don't have Netflix or something like that. We got like pirate version for film or music, and it's considered here normal. So yeah, it's like
Yeah, I don't
one
know.
kind of.
I don't know how it is, but I think I've heard that in Sweden at least they have a party that is the main message of the party is to be not against but in favor of piracy. So I don't know if you have any kind of party like that in Belarus, but in Sweden they have at least one.
No, we don't. We just like we are pirating everything. So every person. We don't need a party.
Okay. Um, So this was it of the These or That games, but we would move on maybe to talk a little bit about your previous years and the way you grew up in your country and culture, of course. One thing I would like to ask you is if there is anything that you took for granted during your childhood and that you would try to be more grateful nowadays.
Mm, maybe that like we went every year to the Crimea, to the Black Sea, together with my parents, and I thought like it's like a normal routine for all
Mm-hmm.
the people in my country, but we don't have sea in Belarus, so that's why it was something like a great trip, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe this one.
Yeah. One thing I asked in the last video was so Yun was from Taiwan, so it is an island. And one thing I asked her is what are the good things and bad things from growing up in an island? And one thing she said is seafood because they have access to it, but the other was to have access to the sea and to be able to see the sea. And so that were the two things she said she liked. So it relates with what you said. So it's it's it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's always nice to watch the sea. I also grew up close to the sea. I live more or less an hour away from the sea, and I have a river close, but of course it's different. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but so because I've always lived so close to the sea, I don't imagine really easily, or when I was younger, I didn't picture it. People that live much far away from the sea, and how it would be, for example, when they saw the sea the first time. It should be quite a thing or an event in their lives. And for me, it was normal, so it's interesting to notice the differences.
Yeah, I don't know like about this feeling either because we started our trips when I was 3 years old, so I was really little,
Yeah.
and that's why for me that was normal. Like every summer to be near the sea and only like relax. And every day going to the sea, sitting there, like doing a lot of stuff together with my family for at least a month. So yeah, that's why for me it's like quite an interesting feeling. How
Yeah.
people like, wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah, exactly. But there are people that only see the sea after they are 20 years old or even older sometimes. It's interesting to notice the difference. Um, and I would ask you, how was life for you growing up in Belarus? Was it easy peasy? Was it a little had some challenges along the way? How would you describe growing up in Belarus, and what did it teach you? What you are glad that you lived?
So usually we go like in kindergarten, like it's 3 years old, and I must say that our like educational path through all these social organizations is absolutely different from people in Europe, because our like workers and employees that are in these organizations are paid really little, so they a little bit hate their work. However, they couldn't do something different, so that's why like kindergarten for every child is like a disaster. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, food is not like health. It is healthy, but it's not tasty enough, and you just hate being there from 9 to 6 when your parents are away on the work, like doing their things to make you feel good when you are growing up. And for me, it was really great to stay at home, like with my family, because it was like a part of my society, of my world. And really I see that in our society, like parents play the main role in education. So they just like read your books, and even if you like it, even if they are like busy enough, they don't take this how to say that, like a person who is taking care of their child. I just forgot.
Caretaker? No. Caretaker, I
Uh,
think it's more for you. No. But yeah, I understood what you meant. You can move on.
yeah, so there's like another woman who is teaching you to do things. No, they never do that, because they think that should be like a person from their own family. And so they usually do like audio books, audio explaining math. We have this a lot, and they would love to teach themselves
Mm-hmm.
you to read, for example, or to draw like simple figures, or to write. So that's why we don't take like another person to help them, like an assistant or something like that. And like the first years when when your parents should go to the work, it's like disastrous, because you should go to the kindergarten.
Yeah.
And there are people who don't like you and don't want to take care of you like well.
Yeah.
So, and like every summer usually like childs are going to the house in the countryside. And I must say that every family have this house in the forest, or the name is dacha for that. So usually you have a huge garden there with apples and different trees, or like with strawberries, or potatoes. And our country is known for potatoes, so every child know how to do that, like
Yeah.
how to grow that, because like the summer for child is gonna be there. And yeah.
What do you
um
like the most from that experience? Because many people uh, live their whole adolescence and childhood in a city, so they have no contact with what you just described. And other people, it's the opposite. They just grow up in the countryside. What do you like of having this mixture of these two worlds? What do you like the most about it?
so the city for me is like energy of people. So you're communicating, you share ideas, or maybe they can like give you a right path in your life, or just give you maybe a sudden advice or unexpected one. But then yeah, you'll you'll grow professionally or something like that. And about nature, it gives like a different energy, like an energy of calmness. You may think about your life there, about your feelings, about yourself, not just like things to do and to-do lists, like crossing the lines when you are done. So there you may dream, and of course, and in my country, every person say like dreams are coming true if you are thinking about them and you are telling yourself about them like constantly. It's like a common belief there. So in nature, it's far better to do that because you see, like you have a room for that because there is no like ceilings and
Mm-hmm.
no high buildings that may be like a obstacle for that. So this mixture is like perfect. That's why our a lot of businessmen there, they have their houses outside the city, but still really close to be in the middle of
Yeah, I
that.
understand.
Yeah. But ordinary people, they got like in a tiny countryside their small houses, so to have this connection with nature as well. So every family here got like a house in the countryside as well as a flat or rented flat in the city. So
Nice.
yeah.
Actually, I've read some things about Belarus before this interview, and one of the things I read is related with what you described, the nature, the forests. I think I've read that 40% of Belarus is territory is composed by forests, and some of them are really ancient and practically unchanged by humanity. Like they are, you can look at them and they are like they were some centuries ago, or at least alike. And one thing that I remember is when I was preparing things for the announce who the guest was from this week, and I had to download the Belarus flag. Of course, I've seen it before, but this time I looked at it and I realized, oh, the red horizontal rectangle and the green one have the different heights. They don't split the flag in half. And then I not only read about the 40% of Belarus that is supposedly composed by forests, but I've also read that the green part of the flag represents the forests. And I would like to ask you if that's why the flag has like a smaller green rectangle than the red one. It's like 40%.
Yeah, yeah, it is like that. It is true. However, like maybe you didn't know about these political issues in my country, but right now it's really huge. So we are posting a lot. So we got like one is the official flag, like this one that you see, and the symbol, like also the official ones. But actually, people in my country they are protesting and they want to return the flag that was before our current president. So it was when we were independent from Russia, but still not like Republic of Belarus. So we were Belarusian Soviet Republic, something like that, and we got a flag like white stripe, red stripe, and white stripe. So divided one third like each line, and that was our flag, and our symbol was the name is Pagonia. So it looked like a person, a knight sitting on a horse with with all of his equipment, and it is historically because it was from the establishment of Vilnius, because Vilnius in the past was our city, and
Mm-hmm.
it was the first great city to establish like everything. So, and it was the first symbol, and through the centuries, it was our symbol till that time. And when we are getting like independence from Russia and becoming the like Republic of Belarus, so they changed it absolutely to the USSR one, and a lot of people that don't like it. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the next like preview, maybe you can post like two flags.
Yeah, I
I'll
understand.
send you like the picture of that.
Okay, okay. I would like to see it. But like I said, some of the forests are ancient, like they are unshaped by humanity. So I would like to ask you if you ever been there. I think you did because you said that you spend a lot of time in the countryside sometimes.
Mm.
And doesn't that give you a taste of history? Like to look at it, it is the same as it was some centuries ago. How do you feel looking at it?
So absolutely, like in my country, I feel like everything is getting for history. So this one as well, because forests they are untouched, and even animals there can like walk on their own without any like hesitations that a person can kill them or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because they are in fully security from the government. And you may see how people go in there. So usually people are like, sitting in this, how to say that? I just forgot. Oh my God, like, where like valier, like animals in zoo sitting in this place. So
Animals in zoo sitting on those places.
yeah, what is
But
the
the
name?
animals sit or the people sit to watch the animals in zoos?
So 1 second, I'll translate that maybe.
If the people are the ones that sit, I would say those are benches. But I don't.
So it sounds like in the cell. So how to say that? In a cage. So
Oh, in a
uh,
cage. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it looks like animals sitting in the cage,
Mm-hmm.
but in ancient forests where all the wild animals are and untouched like nature, so people are sitting in the cage like watching that. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely different, and you can't go there by car or like on foot, because government is highly protect that, and it is really important for our like nature and for our country. So they wouldn't allow you to do that on your own, because all of the people would love to, I don't know, to prepare a barbecue there or doing something wild. So that's why they're highly protected, and people are sitting in the cage not to
Mm-hmm.
touch something or just, I don't know, make something disastrous.
I understand. Yeah,
So
I find it super
yeah.
interesting to have a piece of what Europe was before cities and industrialization. Of course, these are all good. Of course, we have beautiful cities throughout Europe, but it's also nice to look out at how things were. And looking at your forests, maybe we can have a taste of that. And I found it interesting. Um,
Yeah, so it's interesting that like a lot of countries protecting their like buildings or church or something like that. But after the Second World War, for us, it was almost nothing left. So that's why we continue protecting forests, and it's absolutely different. And we got not only forests but also rivers that you cannot swim in, but they are really beautiful. So they're called like Belarusian Maldives,
mhm.
because there you might see like white sand and really clear and clean water. So you might see like the floor of that and like everything. So it's like something like Belarus and Maldives, and people are not allowed to I don't know, to catch fish there or
Mhm.
to use something other than boats. Something like mechanical, because it will disturb everything. But you may use boat without any motor, without
Mhm.
without anything. So it's highly protected as well.
Nice. And we were talking about this taste of history and looking at the past throughout the forest. I would like to ask you if there's any time in the past that you would like to visit and why.
Oh yes, we got like in history the story of the family Radziwill, and it is really interesting because they were so famous and they brought to us a lot of culture. So they themselves wrote books, and they brought a lot of pictures, a lot of drawings from abroad, and they taught our artists somehow, and they brought a lot of like architectures and sculptures from Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So they showed how the things are. And one of the representatives of this family, he got like wife from Italy. Her name was Bonasforza, and she brought a lot to our history, to our buildings, and yeah, it was really beautiful. And we got a lot of legends about that. So we got even two, I believe, yeah, two castles remained from that times. Of course, they were renovated a lot after the Second World War, but still, you may see how beautiful that was
Mm-hmm.
and how magical it was, because a lot of legends are going around this family. They
Yeah.
were not that open, because they were followed by the government, and government didn't like them. They were like highly educated, and they taught even poor people, and they even established like a school for poor people and university for poor, and they started to people other people to learn foreign languages, especially Italian, because she was Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would love to visit that times. And we got even like one really famous poet who wrote a poem about them. And it was something like a detective story, but in a poem with a lot of mystery. And in history, you may see all of these symbols and signs, even in their castle. If you visit it with a special excursion, you may see them. And that is what made, I don't know, the story of this family really important. So it's like the beginning of the 19th century. So I would definitely love to be like a part of this time and to live near them. So they live near, not near Minsk, but like 60 kilometers away,
Mm-hmm.
which is Nesvish city, Nesvish castle. So yeah, it's really interesting story, and you might want to look into life of this family because they migrated a lot.
Yeah, it was nice to hear about, and yeah, it should be interesting to get in contact with those people and see what they have to teach us. It was an interesting story. I never heard of it before. Yeah, I really liked it. Some people, so I made some more research, and I found that one of the things that people may know Belarus for is that you have a pancake week. Belarusian people are all new in the world for hospitality, for being friendly, for being warm people. At least that's what I've read online. You can confirm that. Uh, I've also read, and maybe this I will have a break here. I've also read that Belarusians are quite superstitious. I don't know if you believe that as well. And I've read one really funny superstition that is like, if you have had a guest at your place, that you shouldn't clean your house once a guest has left, unless they have already reached their final destination. So they came home, for example, they are home. And so you shouldn't clean the house before they arrive, or less it is believed that you are clearing them out of your life for good. I don't know if you can confirm this superstition, or if you have any other superstition that you would like to tell of this is completely false.
Yeah, so the first one is true, but the second one, no.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, usually like before having a guest, people are trying to clean their house like it's a museum. I don't know. And yeah, we got these superstitions that afterwards we shouldn't clean like when before the guest is safe home, because it is believed that we clean all the way, and yeah, he couldn't find his road home. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, something like that. And another superstition is that you shouldn't like give your guests something through the doorstep.
Okay.
So they should come in, or you should come out, because like long time ago, people when people were dying, so all of their remains were put in this like door step, so under that, so
Mm-hmm.
because they believe that their spirits will remain at home and will protect that. And when you do something like through them, not like inside or
Yeah.
outside, they are disturbed, and they think that something bad is happening. So that's why for this person or for your home, it will be bad. So, and I don't know why, but usually people are really doing that.
Yeah.
So, and they are believing that, and we just like, oh, okay, let's do that. And yeah, we will not think.
Yeah. Just cope with it. It's not difficult
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
so. Yeah, I
And
understand.
yeah, that's really interesting. And people are really superstitious there. It's not like about like church or our Orthodox culture, I believe. It's like about how to say that. Mm, it's something like usually we say like paganism, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like before Christianity, all of that were there, and we got a lot of traditions still there.
Oh,
For
nice.
example, yeah, we got this Ivana Kupalya, so it's like time when people have their huge fire um, somewhere in the forest and they are dancing, singing some songs. So, and we all know them, and it's really interesting. And afterwards, we should jump through the fire. It's not that high, so you can
Yeah.
do that. It says that all of the bad things are gone into the fire, and you are clean to go into your life. And usually it is in July when we see the like yeah, for the new calendar it is July 7th because it is after the uh, like the longest day in the year, so it is
Okay.
something like that. So the beginning of the year in this paganism culture is something like that. And afterwards we do this dress on our head and put them into the water and like make a dream, and if the stress go a long way, so your dream will come true. It's like that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's really interesting. And we did this celebration like not that long ago. So it was 7th, like from 6th to 7th of July.
Yeah, it was some days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, this is part of culture, and
Yeah.
even nowadays, of course, like you just said, but especially in the past, it was a big part of people's lives. These traditions, these cultural things. So it's interesting to learn what they thought and what they did and what they still do. It's
Mhm.
nice to hear about.
I think that like in our country, people are doing that. Like in Russia, I'm not sure, but in our country, the Orthodox culture is really high. But as well, these traditions are really high. So maybe some of the people even don't think about this life before Christianity, but they are still have these traditions and these huge celebrations. And like in my country, people really like to celebrate and to have holidays. So every I don't know reason for that, they'll go for it.
Nice. uh, I would. So I talked a little bit about what I've read, but now I would ask you to say me something about your country that I can't find on the internet.
Okay. That's a great question. So now cities are like our buildings in our cities are something like made from glass, and they're not that beautiful, not that different. So our street artists are putting huge pictures, like really bright, on different buildings, on the huge avenues, and not only huge avenues, but on the special streets where usually students are.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come to my city, you may just like by chance see a lot of huge paintings, and they're not just like some signatures or some signs or a phrase or sentences. They're like really great pictures for like street art. So I believe a person who is studying street art might go to Minsk especially
Mm-hmm.
to learn that, because first arts were done with the help of Brazil's embassy, and afterwards they are just like done by our artists. And we got even two streets. Like one street is Party Street. We all say it's like Party Street. So
Yeah.
the name is Zibitska, with a lot of bars, and a lot of students are there. It's like nightlife for us. And day life is another street with all of the street art. And I believe every 3 months they change some of the huge projects. So they believe that they should put one artist doing that, and afterwards give a chance to other artists to make their projects. So every 3 months pictures are changed.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might see this there. and a lot of projects are done on this Oktyabrskaya street where street art is, um, really art projects. So poets, musicians, historical figures would love to give their lectures, especially in this place in my city. So
Mm-hmm.
if you go there, you should definitely visit it. And yeah, it's like the best place, I believe, like two best streets in our city.
Yeah, it's really
So
interesting to learn that. Basically, you said that if I come back to Minsk with a 3 to 6 months difference, it's enough to have different paintings on the walls.
yeah, yeah,
That's super
yeah,
interesting. The
yeah.
city, so the city is always changing, basically.
So every 3 months, we even got like a tradition with my friends. So we go to any cafe on the street because there are multiple, like really great choice for that. Yeah, just to have a look on those pictures.
If
They're really
people,
nice.
if people have to hang out in Belarus, where do they do it? In cafes, like you said.
So usually, yes, they go into this to the street cafes to see the street art, to go to the lecture because usually you can go there for free. Like the entrance is free of charge,
Mm-hmm.
and you may hear like historical lecture, musician lecture, or musician evening, something like people will produce their music just like hobby, but it's like really at a high level because
Mm-hmm.
in my country people are really shy and only if they know they can do that good, so they all do that. And yeah, the street is like perfect for your unplanned, evening. And for the nightlife, if some people would love to party, they go into another street that I told you before. And here you might not go even into the bar because like every 100 meters you'll see a band of people playing violin, guitar, and as well as drums. And the sound is so huge, you feel like you're in the rock concert. I
Yeah.
don't know, and it's absolutely great. You might not even go to this bar. You just didn't have a chance. You just will not have chance because you would love to listen to every band, and
Yeah.
there are like at least seven of them on the street. So yeah, it's absolutely great. And of course, you may visit like our national museums and all of this stuff, but I wouldn't recommend to do that. Like, really, no, please don't do that because you'll be bored and you will not like our city. But if you go to these two streets, usually like young artists or young people, young generation, they present what they think, what they do, and only there you may see our real culture
Mm-hmm.
and our real traditions. So and our real like state of life and mind. When on these like huge national ones, you'll just see like what the government allow you to see.
Mm-hmm. No, it looks super fun and different. I think it's not so common to have that art spreading in the street, and to be able to watch a lecture about arts or history like that free of charge. Just to be curious about it and let's get to know of this a bit, and to listen to a band that freely in the street seems super fun and rewarding. To have this exchange of knowledge between people seems super interesting. I'm really interested in that. It looks really nice.
Yeah. And people usually like it's of course free of charge, but our people they really appreciate another people doing that. So usually they even ask how they can help or how can they donate for that, because if they really in love with that and they would follow them, like follow their page or follow their lectures, because usually they have something like five in a row or something like that, so they would love to donate. So it's like a financial reward for people who are doing that as well, but
Mm-hmm.
they are not asking for that. So they just like they love what they do and they do it like at a high level.
Yeah,
So
seems like
that's kind
a great
of
environment. A great environment for all the people involved. Uh,
yeah. And I must say that it's only like young people before 35, I believe, are doing that because they're not like, I don't know, they are, how to say, innocent from this governmental stuff.
mm-hmm.
So that's why, yeah.
Yeah. I would like to ask you is if there is anything that you've never done in Belarus that you like to do in the future, that you would like to be able to do in the future.
Oh, I would like usually in summer I'm doing plein air for my drawing, so I go outside and draw like outside, and it's usually forest because I live near forest, and yeah, if I go to this countryside where my like small house is, so it's also forest, and I would love to go to this plein air to the sea coast or to the ocean coast. I don't know, to like a huge water somewhere and to draw all of these waves because I'm in love with waves
Yeah,
and especially in drawing. So that's why I think I would love to do that once in life.
it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And we will move on to other countries that you visited. We are already with a 1 hour video, so we should be on our way. But I still have some things that if you wouldn't mind to talk with you. But the last question I would like to make specifically about your country is, if you could make a wish for your country, what would it be?
Um, I would love like to give people their human rights and right for their voices because their voices you can hear their voices only on those two streets and by limited like people who are there because when you start to go somewhere else so usually people are sentenced or even jailed for that so I really believe that like something will change my country and we just like will have our human rights for voices for saying that we are thinking.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a huge deal there.
I had no idea that things still were like that in Belarus.
Yeah, we are just like the last dictatorship in Europe and unfortunately it is true. So
Okay,
yeah.
something to work on.
But
Uh, yeah, I would ask you to talk a little bit about other countries you visited, what you liked the most about them, things you lived, things you loved about them. Just
I must say that I visited a lot, but I will definitely can tell you about like Austria, Germany, and the States because I was like there as an exchange student. So
hmm.
I lived for 5 months. So I know a little about their culture and how they're living. So in the United States, I really love that people are free to say what they think
Hmm.
and are free to wear what they want to, and they are not afraid about like another people what they mind, what their opinion is. Like if they like that, so why not?
Hmm.
And of course, they are doing something, and when they're doing that, they usually present. They're not afraid that someone will criticize them. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, that is something to admire because, for example, for me in my country, when I'm criticized, I feel like, oh my God, yes, it's really bad. Oh yeah, I should improve. And you started to close yourself from the world a little. But when I was there and when I came back to my country, I was just like, no.
Yeah.
I'll show all my pictures and people will see afterwards my progress. And it's better to see the progress than just like to close and
Hmm.
have everything like inside of you. And what about Germany? I was just like I was impressed that Germans are not that close. How people usually say like Germans are close and
Yeah.
serious. No, they're just like normal people, but they have their own like what's the order
Yeah.
and their own timetable of life. So as we do, they're just like normal people, and they know how to party, how to travel, and of course, the huge thing there is beer. So everybody is drinking beer, but I don't like that. So even
Hmm.
during this huge Oktoberfest, I even didn't drink because I was just like, no, I don't like that. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm not like a part of this society. But I love the way that they value art, they value their culture, all of these beautiful castles like Neuschwanstein or beautiful churches in the cities, and you just like come there and just like wow. But I must say that maybe in different parts of Europe it's like the same. But
Hmm.
I've been only like for a long time in Austria and Germany, so I can talk only about that. And like about Austria, I like the nature. Nature is like something there, like mountains, lakes, and they're really clean. And people would love to make them like remain clean. So yeah, I really appreciate how they approach to nature like in my country. So it's like really great. And yeah, their approach to life is something like Germans, and they're not closed.
Yeah.
How a lot of people might say. So yeah, I really love the how to say, the quality of life there. So I felt there that people can relax and they can even stop for some time. So
Mhm.
that taught me that if I would love to spend my 5 minutes doing nothing, so I must do that because it's like, I don't know, recharging yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's absolutely great. And like once I was in Italy, but it was like really short period of time. It was only 4 days in Venice because
Mhm.
I was studying like in Austria in Klagenfurt, so it's like south and it's like 200 kilometers away from Venice. So that's why we went on like our long weekends there, and it was absolutely beautiful. Like people are so open, they're talking so loud, and I felt like a great society. Like I know everyone, but still no one, and it's like yeah, it was great, and I would like to visit some of the countries like warm ones in Europe. So
Mhm.
because I've never been there, yeah. And I visited a lot Ukraine, like this Crimea peninsula, because I went there like every summer with my family, at least for a month, and it is like a huge part of culture as well because a lot of poets were there. They got their huge houses, like summer ones,
Mhm.
and even Russian maybe people were there as well, like Emperor Ekaterina II, I believe, something like that. And they built a lot of beautiful castles there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's a huge part of culture. And of course, the mountains. I would never believe like that there I can see so beautiful nature, but the mountains and the sea and like everything and not like the forest, but they got these places with a lot of like how to say that like Christmas tree, like these trees, and the air you breathe in is absolutely different. You feel like you are in a special camera with the best air ever, and you just like feel how it goes to your body and just like,
It's.
so
I find two things wonderful in what you said. The first one is wherever we go in the world, there's always things to find out and places to visit and astonishing things to see. I started with this picture challenge for every country I do the videos about. So I put the pictures like you saw, and I try to people to guess the country. And every time I do that and I look for the pictures, I find beautiful things to show. And you really get the feeling that it's not about this country is better than others to visit. It is like every country has beautiful things and super interesting things to see. And
you know what? I'm sorry. I'm
no, no,
sorry
no
for
problem.
but it was like really interesting. So once I was sitting like in Austria in our class with a girl from Spain and a girl from Portugal, and we were sharing like pictures of our houses where we live in of our cities. So the girl from Portugal shows us that she lives near the ocean,
Yeah.
and she was yeah, look at these like where I'm living, and we're like wow. The Spanish girl also she lives in Barcelona, so she showed beautiful pictures of her city, and I was just like, oh my god, my city is not that beautiful. And when I showed them like pictures of my city, they were just like, oh my god, you want to live in your city? I was like, what? Really? I was so surprised, like, wow.
Yeah, you know, I think I said this before, but I'm not sure in other videos. I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't. But we sometimes are tourists in other countries, but we forget to be tourists of our own country or even our own city. For example, I don't know if you've ever visited the I've heard that you already said that you don't like the museums very much, But there are cities with great museums. I don't know if it's the case of Minsk or not, but we don't visit our own museums. We sometimes don't go to our own beautiful natural places. We visit others, but we forget to visit ours. And because it's our reality, we take it for granted, and we sometimes forget to have a closer look and a more attentive look at the beautiful things we have around us. And maybe that's what happened with you in that, regarding your city and comparing with other cities. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe, yeah, because it's absolutely different. It looks like absolutely different because of the buildings and all this stuff. We don't have many churches that are like Gothical ones. So maybe they're just like tired of that because they saw that on the every step. But in my country, no, they're absolutely different. And when you come there, it's like, wow, it's like another world for them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like that. I think so. Yeah, and like national museums in our city, no, please don't.
Okay.
But in other countries, I usually visit them because they are really huge and they are really great. So I would never compare them with our national ones. So in our like case, it's better to see what people are doing right now. It's like
Mm-hmm.
contemporary art. So yeah.
Okay, nice. Uh, I would like to ask you, what was the most interesting situation you've ever been involved in all this traveling?
Oh, there were a lot, but maybe the most scary one was when we were crossing the border between Netherlands and Germany. So we were traveling like for a couple of days to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
I was volunteering in Germany, so we went for weekends to Amsterdam. And when we came back, we were crossing border, and we got like one girl. She was from Turkey, and she just left her passport somewhere. So we were staying at the border, and they were looking like for our visas for non-EU citizens. And she was just like, "Oh my God, Veronica, I think I lost my passport." And he was like, okay, just keep looking in your bag and I'll think about what can we do. And these police officers, they were Germans, and for that time I didn't know German that well, so
Mm-hmm.
I knew like a little, but not that well to have a huge conversation with a lot of arguments to put
Yeah.
there. And so she was keeping looking, and her passport, I called our like manager, and her passport was in her bag, and she was in the previous bus, so she left the border before you
Yeah.
know before us. And I was like, oh my God, what we're gonna do? And luckily she got her like small ID, her Turkish small ID. And I asked them, like these police officers, to check all of this stuff because her parents were working for the government, and if they're working for the government, they don't need like visa for their
Mm-hmm.
child to before they're how to say that, before they're 18, I guess, years old, and she was 16. And so they were not really nice, and they were like, no, we shouldn't do that. You should have your all your documents with you and all of this kind of stuff. And then like one young policeman came to us, and he was just like, what the case, what happened? And then he just like um, ruled everything out, and everything was fine. But that was so scary because I didn't know like what to do next, like really
Yeah, yeah,
what to
yeah.
do
Yeah,
afterwards.
and I've heard that Germans can be quite strict with the rules, so should have
Yeah,
been difficult. Yeah.
of course we appreciate like protocol and all of this kind of stuff, but there can be like force measures, and that's why you should, yeah, should, I don't know, help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a scary situation, but still a lot of fun. And I remember how I was like, okay, nice. Yeah.
Um, Looking back, what were the best things that you kept with you from all this traveling?
Um, Maybe that you can always find like a person or a group of people that are gonna be with you, like be your friends. You can have party with, or you can maybe ask for advice, and they may help you, assist you. Like if you are a great and open person yourself, and like a normal one, I don't know how to say that. I mean, you're not that angry with people, aggressive, or just like keep secrets inside, or keep two personality. So if you're just like good one, so you'll always find a person or a group of people that are gonna help you and that you're gonna feel comfortable with. And yeah, you'll never be alone in bad situations. So yeah, I think it's like the most important thing. And if you know at least English, you may survive like everywhere.
Yeah.
No, and even if you don't know the language of the country and they don't know English, so it's also possible. Just try, and if you want something, everything will be like with you. So you may do everything. You are really powerful.
I think that's a beautiful message to share and an important one as well, because I can imagine some people when they travel or they start to live, better saying, they start to live in other countries, they might feel alone and outside their environment with people they don't know, who many times speak a different language. So you can feel quite alone and distant from these people. But that message you said, it's really important because they are people just like us. And if we're nice to them, they are nice to us. We are just people, and we like to engage. So yeah, I really liked that message that you spread with my question. It's really important and interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
So we are almost ending, and we should, because we are already an hour and a quarter, and I promised you that we shouldn't take much more than an hour. I don't want to get too much over it. But I have one or two final, more personal questions before finishing the video. One I would like to ask you is, when did life tell you no, and what did you learn from that?
What?
When did
What?
life tell you no, something that you
Ah,
wanted to do, but life denied it, so you couldn't make it, and what did you learn from that?
oh, usually, so I must say, I cannot like tell from all Belarusian people, but on my behalf, on my own, like in my own opinion, I think that I'm trying to do better. It's just like for sure. So usually when I was applying for programs, I did it a lot. I was participating a lot in like art exhibitions, and I got a lot of rejections, a lot of no messages, or just like no answer messages. And I was just like, okay, maybe I should work on the like I should work not only on the content that I'm sending, but also how I'm presenting that. For example, how I'm presenting myself, and where should I actually send that. Maybe I have sent it for the assistant who is not aware of like what things is going on. So and yeah, right now it's absolutely better for me because I feel something like an understanding of how to do things and who approach to. I'm not afraid to ask, and it's better for me. It's better to ask like 1 million times, even though people will think that I'm stupid or yeah, I cannot like understand things from the first time. But afterwards, when I got all the answers together, I feel like better, and I feel that I know what to do step by step. So to improve myself, or just to do it perfectly. So afterwards, I can say them, you said this, you said that, and that is the result. And they may see that, oh yeah, that's right. And usually it helps like to work out different stuff. And that was a lot during my university life because I did like 3 exchange programs, and there was like a lot of questions about is it legal? Of course it is. So and yeah, so I did a lot of research, and I'm not afraid of that because every information right now you may find it like on the internet. So even if like a person said no for you, it's not like a stop mark. It's like an obstacle you may go around or you may jump over, so or like choose different paths. So yeah, it's not the thing that you should just like stop and do something really different. And I know that we got like this rule of 10,000 hours. So if you can't do that if you did that for 10,000 hours and afterwards you should be a master, and if you are not a master, so maybe then you should think about changing this sphere, because every sphere is just like sphere of hard work. Like 95% of that is like hard work, and what you put in that, your focus, and only 5% is like talent. So you should keep going and never stop, and afterwards you may see like the result. Of course you will see that, like for sure.
Yeah. No, I don't have too much to add. Some episodes ago, I think it was the episode about Japan, I made a question about what was at the time Aine, it was my guess for that video, what was her relationship with failure, and you just had a really good answer, like you just have to keep going. Even if people tell you no, even if you make mistakes, you just have to keep going because you learn from those mistakes, and through hard work you can achieve what you want. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's a great lesson
Yeah, for
to
sure.
retain. Uh, other question I would like to ask you is, when we have these periods of denial, so we can't do something, people say to us we can't, or we fail, uh, it's normal for us to feel sad or to have some kind of bad emotions. So I would like to ask you, how do you deal with these bad emotions like sadness, anger, sometimes even jealousy? How do you deal with these bad emotions?
I usually take a break from people, because usually people can criticize you or like say that you are good. So usually it's better like to sit alone for a quite, I don't know, for 30 minutes, something like that, and to think about your work, like to look on this critically and listen to your inner world, like what do you really think about that without any biases from outside. And
Mm-hmm.
afterwards you may ask this person once again who said like it's bad or something, yeah, which made you feel disappointed, and you may ask for like constructive critics. So like what is exactly bad there, because people usually can say like what is exactly bad but not like what is exactly good, because if it is
Mm-hmm.
good there is nothing to add, but if it is bad, so you definitely see what it is bad.
One thing I can ask you, a curious thing. This is a little bit coming back to Belarus, but that's okay. In your country, do people are people good with compliments, or people are much better with pointing things out there are bad, and when things are good, they just say, "Oh, that's okay, that's good enough," and they don't give a proper compliment. Because I know of some countries that people, uh, or I've heard of some countries that people don't are not so good with compliments. What I mean by that is that when you do a really good thing, oh, that's actually quite not. That's actually not quite bad, or something like. They don't say it's good. They say, oh, it's not bad, which is a compliment in their culture, but it's not the direct compliment. Like, oh, that's really good. I really like it. You're really good at that. How does it work in Belarus?
So if you're like in a professional society, usually people say yeah, it's good, it's not bad. So in a really professional circles, but among your friends or good acquaintances or just like your followers on the Instagram, I don't know, they usually say like yeah, that's absolutely amazing work, like you got it, and yeah, it's great. But in professional one, if like your teacher said to you, it's not bad, it's good, so you feel like yeah, I'm the king of this world,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's definitely that other people will like, and they will say yeah, great, let's celebrate your achievement.
yeah. You have to take
So
that compliment because above that there's nothing else, or if anything. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I understand. Um, yeah, and now I would like to ask you. It's been great. I've had a wonderful time talking with you. I've learned a lot, uh, really interesting things. And I would like to ask you to give a final message to the people watching, whatever you would like to talk about.
I would love to invite everyone to visit our country, especially all these art objects that I was talking about, and of course, this beautiful nature that are protected by our government, just to feel the atmosphere of our ancient forests. and yeah, just untouched nature, which is really, really beautiful. And our contemporary art, how young generation are creating their lives and give their lectures with their opinions about everything, participate in these discussions, and be involved in our society at least for a week, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a really lively environment and a really pleasant one to be in. And now I will finish with a question that I've been finishing in the last few videos. I find it an interesting one, and the question is, what would your really old self, and when I say really old, I mean like 19 something years, really old, tell to your current version?
Oh, I would say just like keep going. You are doing things right and never stop. Just follow your dreams and what you want and not make these biases from outer world because all of the nice people will be with you all of the way.
Nice. Keep confident and working towards what you believe. Seems a nice message. And yeah, I think that's it for today. It's been really pleasant and good to get to know a little bit of Belarus and Veronika as well. She was really kind and good at explaining things she lived, what she learned, really good lessons from traveling, like always. And also, we get to know about her country. So I hope you liked it. And yeah, I'll come back next week with a new country and a new guest. And I just hope you're there and you keep enjoying looking at these videos. Once more, thank you very much, Veronika. It was really nice having you here, and I hope you liked it as well. So,
Yeah, for me too. Thank you very much. It was a nice call.
thank you very much. So, goodbye to everyone, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, bye bye.